Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Home Savvy Central. Today is December 2nd, can't believe it. I was out all day today and it feels like it almost June or July. It was nice and warm and actually hot in California. I'm in Orange County, Anaheim Hills, and it was 75 degrees. I was out most of the day and enjoyed most of the day. Hope the weather is great and everything's fine where you are. Welcome to my channel. We have some exciting topic today. We also have a special guest. I'll introduce you to our guest shortly. I'm going to wait for some people to come on. This is a live channel, Home Savvy Central. I do this live every Monday at 4:30, so join every week. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to announce it or let us know. So with that, I'm going to get our topic today is the hidden cost of owning a home. So if you're owning a home, if you're on fixed income, or if you're thinking of buying a house and you're approved to a certain amount, you may want to double check with your lender to find out what are those unexpected costs. So we have a great topic. I'm going to introduce Eli Magids from Charlotte, North Carolina, and we will talk about it and discuss and explain to you what are those hidden costs. So let me welcome to the stage Eli. Hey Eli,
Mike.
Can you see me?
I can see you, Mike. Can you see me?
I can see you. Eli, I told them, those who are watching or will be watching, that you're from North Carolina.
I am.
You have your own YouTube channel. So please introduce yourself and we'll get going on this channel.
Yeah, so my name is Eli Magids. I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina, originally from New York. It was not 75 degrees here today.
Okay.
It was about 40 degrees early this morning. It was about 28, but it's good walking weather. And
Right.
it keeps the ball guys feeling good and
Right,
alive.
right. Well, then, just not off the topic, but talking about California, I did a TikTok video yesterday. Just for fun of it, I said, don't move to California. And I already have 200,000 views on it. Then the same thing, I put it on Facebook, say, hey, I put on Facebook that I put a TikTok video saying don't move to California because it's very expensive. Then I said I am enjoying the weather here. So with that note, Eli, you should move to California. Great weather here.
Yeah, well, the weather is great. I like the change of seasons. As a former Northeastern guy,
Right.
I like last night there was a football game, right, from Buffalo, and
Yep.
it was snowing. It was like bringing back old times for me.
Right.
Back in the day, it used to snow every week. You turn on Green Bay, there was snowing.
Right.
Detroit, it was snowing. Then they built these domes, so it's a rarity to see the snow. So I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Here in Charlotte, it gets hot during the summer, but the rest of the year is nice.
Great. Good. And how long have you been in business? And what's your name of your YouTube channel so that people
So
know?
I'm Luxury Charlotte Homes, and I've been in Charlotte 15 years. Hard to believe that I made the leap to Charlotte. Terrific place to live. Less expensive than California, for sure. Tax wise, going to be cheaper than a lot of spots.
Right.
But taxes when you're going to buy a house is a big expense.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about. Not only taxes like income tax, state tax, sales tax in each county is different, I believe, but also the property tax. So we'll talk about it. That's one of the things, in fact, is the top of the list. But what I want to do just to get started is I want to share a report so that it's not coming from me. I wanted to share this report. Can you see it? It says here, the hidden cost of owning a home are surging for Americans.
Yeah, I got it.
Can you see the screen?
I can.
Okay, good. So I just want to read the first paragraph and then we can discuss about what this report is. And I picked this report randomly. I know it says CNN, but no politics over here. But it says here that the price of owning a home is rising rapidly. And we're not just talking about mortgage payments. U.S. homeowners are now paying an average of $18,000 a year on property taxes, homeowners insurance, maintenance, energy, and various other expenses linked to owning a home, according to new bank rate study. And this study was just done last year, and this article just came out in June. So it's a very recent article. I'm going to read one or two more sentences and then we'll discuss about it, Eli.
Sure.
That's nearly the cost to buy a used car and represents a 26% increase from 4 years ago when it costs $14,000, $428 annually to own and maintain a home. All of those variable expenses are on top of fixed cost of a mortgage, including property taxes, homeowners insurance, energy cost, internet, cable bills, and home maintenance. So let's chat about it. This is because that is a significant increase, especially for those who own the home for 10, 15, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, but they're on fixed income. So not only is the current owner paying more, but if I'm on a fixed income, I can't afford it. And that's what's happening in Florida. So let's chat about it. What hits you the most? One as a realtor and one as a consumer. So let's chat about that.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, Florida, Florida, you've got a large population of people who are on fixed incomes, and they find themselves in a position where, because of that building collapse a couple of years ago, they've passed laws that now every building over the age of 30 has to be inspected. And some of these people have been living in these older buildings, and once these buildings are inspected, there seems to be tons of repairs. So the HOAs are hitting people up for thousands. I saw one report where one guy was hit up for $250,000 from the HOA.
Yep.
And could not afford to pay it. And essentially they said, well, if you can't afford to pay it, you can't afford to live here.
Yeah.
So that's crushing, for someone who's on a fixed income. Even if you've got money, $250,000 to pay out to your HOA is insane. It's not doable. Yeah. And that's for the wealthiest. Imagine, you've got other people, who don't have as much money, and they're asking for thousands of dollars for new roofs. Again, you talked about the insurance costs in Florida. Here in North Carolina, we don't get, like, you talked about insurance. We don't get major storms. Typically, we don't get the hurricanes really crushing us here in Charlotte anyway. But just a couple of months ago, Asheville, North Carolina, got crushed by a hurricane, and it's a once in a lifetime disaster.
Yeah.
Those insurance rates, for those people near the water by the mountains, it's disastrous, and that's lower income areas. A lot of that area.
Okay. Right.
So it's crushing.
Yeah. When you mentioned about fixed income, I read a report just like you did. Report 2 months ago, and it was on TV. Actually, I saw on TV this lady. She's been in this condo for 20 years. She's retired. She's on fixed income, and because of this condo disaster that happened, and now do they have to do maintenance, but they have to bring it up to code. Then what happened was in Florida, and I hate to talk about Florida, but that's where this Milton and Ian and Helene happened within 2 months, and it did historic damages. So two things happened. One, your insurance rates went up, and your HOA rates went up sky high. So this lady is saying that I've been living here for 20 years, same payments every year, property tax goes up every year. But last year or this year, it went up, her HOA went up 5 times. On top of that, she had to get her own insurance, because that, there's a master policy insurance, and there's your insurance, individual insurance. That went up. She said, I can't afford it. She has not paid her HOA or the mortgage because she can't afford it, because she also had damage. So now, is she going to fix her roof? And even though it's a condo, there's some damage. She should fix it. So she's in a big trouble. And she said, if I have to walk away, I have to walk away, but I'll be homeless. I mean, technically, she won't have a house, because what's happening is a lot of people have money in the house, but they're stuck with equity,
Right. And the problem is once let's say you're buying a house down in Florida, those costs are going to be passed on to you if you purchase somebody's condo, right?
Right.
And so what's happening is they can't, the people who can't afford it can't even sell their property. So you've got a decrease in value of the properties because no one's buying them. And you've got to have deep pockets, and it's unfortunate. And it's going to happen over here in Asheville also.
Okay.
California is another, crazy area. You've got, those fires.
Oh, yeah.
You've got great weather, right? But
Yeah.
those fires, and then it rains, and then you get the mudslides,
Yep.
and you get these houses in Malibu going into the water, and
Things are happening. I mean, we never used to see this. I mean, I've been here a long time in California, but these kind of disasters, we're seeing it more and more. I mean, we had a fire just an hour from here in LA just 3 weeks ago. Huge fire. Then we had last year or 2 years ago the Paradise Fire that wiped out the whole town. Just like in Hawaii, wiped out the whole town, Lahaina, almost all the time. I'm trying to be more realistic here.
No,
it's very sad to hear that, but a lot of people are still staying in hotels and motels and with friends and family, and they don't have a house. They don't know when FEMA is going to give them all the money that they promised. Not getting political, but they're waiting for the money. They're waiting for assistance. In the meantime, what do the kids do if they're going to school? What if, I mean, it's sad to hear that. And all this stuff we're talking about, not complaining, but all these fires and mudslides and damage with storms means one thing: hire insurance. And if you have an
100%.
HOA, hire HOA.
Yep.
Period. And we're
Yep.
talking significant increases.
Yeah, to the point where you can't sometimes even get insurance.
Exactly.
Like in Florida, their insurance companies pulling out.
Right. Yeah. For California, like State Farm, for the last year, maybe year and a half, they are not issuing new policies. So if I have a policy and they are renewing it, of course, it's going to go double or triple. But if I sell a house and if I tell them, hey, I have State Farm, I've had them for 30 years, they can't give it to you. So the funny thing is, in my real estate business, when I used to open an escrow, we used to tell them, get the loan, blah, 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 right away. You know what? When I open escrow, the first thing I tell my buyers to do, apply for your insurance.
That's
We used to apply for 3-4 days before close of escrow, and we got it, right? One phone call.
Yeah,
Now I
a
tell them,
quick phone call,
tomorrow,
yeah.
your
Yep.
first call is going to be insurance. Get an insurance.
Yeah, here in Charlotte, it's easy. I mean,
Not here.
to get insurance.
Yeah.
You just call them up and you're insured essentially.
Not here. A lot of people
yeah.
reject you. Now we have fire hazard areas in an NHD report, which is the National Hazard Disclosures. The NHD, I'm sure you have it too. A lot of the California in high fire hazard area. So when they see that, insurance company sees that, jacks up your premium.
Yeah, the big thing here is more like a flood zone. If
Okay.
you happen to be in an area. So Charlotte is landlocked. We're 3 hours away from the ocean, so you're not really flooding from oceans or rivers or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get a heavy rain, we get a lot of rain. We actually get more rain, I think, than Seattle does.
Okay.
But it's not every day. We'll get a ton of rain for 3 days in a row, and then it'll be
Okay.
dry.
It's not like Seattle is every day, a little bit every day kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, there are some properties that are in a flood zone, 100-year
Right.
flood zone, which means once every 100 years, that particular part of the property can flood.
Mm-hmm.
So it's rare, but
Right.
it's a problem. And then if FEMA decides that you're definitely in a flood zone,
Right.
then you have to get federal insurance for it.
Right. Okay. Well, Eli, let's switch some gears. And I know I told you about it, that talking as a consumer, let's say you're a realtor and a seller calls you up and say, hey, I can't afford the payments. I've been here 20 years. So that's one seller or one homeowner. But at the same time, somebody wants to buy, and now they talk to a lender and say, hey, I'm qualified for $500,000 with a 450 loan. What else would you tell them before they buy? Or what would you tell the current seller on how to handle this situation? Hey, as a realtor's perspective,
So I mean, it's obviously, it depends on everybody's individual circumstance.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It depends what shape the house is in. There's a lot of factors that you would tell a seller. First, I would see when you price it. That's the most important thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you price it correctly, you should have a buyer. In today's market, you should have a buyer. It's
Mhm.
not like it was 3 years ago,
Right.
but you're going to have a buyer if you price it correctly. If you really zip the price, you're going to be sitting in this market, and then the market will punish you. If you're on the market and you're priced wrong after 2 weeks, the market will punish you, and you're going to sit with that house.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the one thing is just to price it right, and it depends what their financial circumstances are as well.
Right. Yeah.
You know, if they're
Have you
paying
come across
more-
somebody that you've told them to switch insurance companies? And I know some states it's not like that, but in California, our insurance rates are going triple, quadruple, double. So we tell them, hey, shop around. You know, even
it's all-
existing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's always shop around. It's whether it's a mortgage, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
insurance, you always want to shop around. You know, like here in North Carolina, like the title insurance is regulated by the state. So no matter where you go, you're paying the same amount.
Right.
But you know, home insurance,
Yeah. That's
mortgage rates. You know, there's some lenders that are going to give you money towards the mortgage, you know, paying down your mortgage percentage,
Mhm.
right? So you're at 7%. You know, some guys will pay it down where you're only paying 5.
right.
You know, everyone's trying to get business.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So you know, that's the name of the game is who's going to give you the most.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, you know, like I mentioned earlier, we also have buyers on this channel. So I'm going to talk about something so that they're clear on it. So, you know, when mortgage payment we're talking about is not just principal and interest. We're talking about the principal, interest. Then we talk about taxes, which is the property taxes. And we talk about insurance. Insurance is required because the lenders want you to. So when a buyer is looking at it, we're looking at when we, you know, in the report, it said that 28,000 or 18,000 is your average payments on average. And of course, that assumes that your house is worth $430,000. That's a medium price home. But, you know, some areas like in California, the medium price home is 800,000, right? Not
Right.
400,000.
You're double what I
Double.
am.
So,
Yep.
you know, your cost may be double that much, 30,000 a year.
Yeah. So
Principal, interest, tax, and insurance.
you know, from a taxes perspective, you
Right.
know, from property taxes, how much would a $1 million home run for property taxes in California?
Well, in Orange County, because each county is different, but on average, you know, my Orange County is 1.1% base tax. So if I sell $1 million home in Anaheim Hills, which is our medium average price anyways, then it's about, you know, 14,000 a year, which is almost just over $1,000 a year. I mean, a
Right.
month.
Yeah. So
I showed a house about 45 minutes ago, just on Saturday. It's a brand new construction. Home started 1.2 million, and you get dirt in the backyard. You don't get any upgrades or whatever. But you know, because now new home construction, when they build 300, 400 homes, the city requires them to build a park or a library or, you know, some things like that. So they charge you assessments and what we call here in California mellow roofs. So that property, these are Lennar Homes and Lancy Homes, the builders. The property tax was 1.95. And I told these buyers, because my buyers were from Canada, they didn't know. I said, look, if you buy in Orange County where I'm at, if you buy this house at 1.2, you would be paying about 15,000 in tax, let's say. If you buy this house, which is in Fontana, California, about 45-minute drive, you would be paying double, almost 25, 30,000 a year in property taxes. And they didn't know that.
That's insane.
Insane. But they say, oh my God, we didn't know that. Now they're rethinking because they love the house. They love the house, the quality, the yard, because it's a lot cheaper. Because that house that I showed, it's 4,200 square feet in Fontana. In Orange County, that house would be $2 million.
Right. It's a trade-off.
Yeah, but even at 2 million at one, they'll be paying less tax than over there because it's double the tax. So I did calculation for them, you know.
Right. So if it's $15,000 more per year, 10 years, it's $150,000 that can go towards your mortgage.
Exactly. Or pay down your principal or buy extra, you know. So I think when buyers buy or when sellers who are on fixed income, when these things go up and property taxes go up, you know, they have to consider this. Hey, they need to future plan. Especially for those of you who are on fixed income, we know that property taxes go up, utilities go up, TV costs go up, telephone goes up, inflation cost goes up. How are you preparing for that? I'm hearing that a lot of seniors are going back to work that have not worked in 10 years. They can keep up with it. I know that for sure in California. A lot of Uber drivers, I just took an Uber trip a month ago and the guy was like, I'm assuming he was 75 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's forced work, you know.
Yeah. Or he got bored. One or the other.
Yeah, could be.
You know, but yeah, I mean, listen, as a New Yorker, for 3,000 square feet, a house that's was worth at the time $675,000. I was paying close to $100,000 in taxes.
Right.
Here in Charlotte, $1 million house, or just in a county right outside of Charlotte, the Union County, a $1 million house, property taxes are going to cost you $7,000. So for people who are stuck in other states because of the high taxes, so that's why we have a lot of people coming from New York and New Jersey,
Right.
and we get a smattering from California too, because it's almost like free. Even
Right.
Connecticut, they come down here and it's a quarter of what they're paying up north.
Wow.
And the weather is nicer,
Right.
and you're getting more for your money.
Right.
But you don't get good pizza or good
Yeah.
bagels.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah,
Oh, I
the
still have the music on. Let me turn it off. Sorry, I thought I had it off. So let me turn it off. I thought I had it off. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah. The other thing I want to touch about, what's your tax rate, property tax rate in North Carolina, in your area? And then let's talk about some states. Maybe I'm not sure exactly, but some states it's like 2 or 3% of your purchase price. Texas is high. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So here in Mecklenburg County in Charlotte, because every county again is different. The county next to us that I was just talking about is a little bit less expensive, but here it's at 0.9% of your value of the value of the house. So you can purchase a home for 1.2 million. It can be assessed for 900,000. So you're paying 0.9 times the 900,000. So you're paying $8,100 in taxes.
Right.
Yeah. So it's based on the assessment.
Right.
New houses, you're going to pay on what you purchased the house for.
Right. Yeah. Same like over here. So let's say I sell my cousin a house. It's $1 million home, but I sold it for 700,000. That does not mean that I'm going to pay 700,000 on 1.1. You do pay that for 1.1% through escrow. But what the county does is after 3 or 4 or 5 months, they reassess it. So when they reassess it, hey, I know you sold for 700, but the value is $1 million. Then they're going to send you a supplemental property tax. So you have to catch up with that property tax. So it is assessed value as well once they do it.
Right. Yeah. Here typically the assessed value is less than the actual purchase price.
Oh.
So it works in reverse usually.
Okay.
So most of the time tax value is less than the actual purchase price.
Right.
And you're paying it on the actual tax the tax value as and every couple of years they come through and they assess, reassess, and they increase the value of your house.
Right.
So you pay more taxes. Texas, you were talking about Texas. Texas is brutal.
Yeah.
I did actually a video about Austin, Texas. You can pay 2.5 to 3% of your purchase price in taxes. So you pay $1 million home, you're paying 30 grand in taxes.
Wow.
So there is no state income tax, but they get you in other ways. They get you with the property tax, and the property taxes are brutal. I mean, they're about as high as they get anywhere.
I imagine 3% on a medium price home in USA is let's say 420. You buy something in Texas in certain areas, 2 or 3%. 3% of $400,000 is $12,000.
$12,000
on top of your mortgage payment, principal and interest. Then you got to pay the insurance. So they add another $2,000 or $3,000 a year, which is another $300 a month or so. Adds up pretty fast.
Yeah, and God forbid you have to fix anything in your house.
Yep. And then you buy a car, or your kids come to college and you got to buy him a car or her a car. And then you want internet. You need cell phones. You need a gardener, or if you have a pool, you need a cleaner. Oh my God, I'm going to pull my hair out.
The pools are very expensive to maintain. If you're going into a house and you're just scraping by on your payment, pool can cost you $500 a month.
That much?
Yeah, for somebody to come and clean it. Chemicals, electricity. I guess in California you don't need to have heat, but yeah, it can be very expensive. You're better off getting a hot tub.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Wow. Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Electricity, salt water, all that. So I wanted to mention something here. I made a note here talking about affordability crisis. There is an affordability crisis. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Let's take, for example, I just recorded a video yesterday and I talked about it. The affordability crisis is in California. There's different numbers. Some say it's 11%, some say it's 14%. But the home affordability index, that means how many people can afford to buy a house at a certain salary, is, let's take the higher number, it's 15% or less. That means of all the California people, and we're talking about single family home, they cannot, only 15% can buy a home or afford a home.
That's crazy.
That's a low number. Imagine. And there's so many people want to buy in California and they can't because they just can't afford it. It's too expensive.
Well, that's
And
why
getting
everybody's
worse.
going. They're going to Idaho, although
Yeah,
that boomed for a while, and I think that's coming down a little
that's
bit.
slowed down because the
Yep.
Californians slowed down because, a lot of Californians are everywhere. They came to North Carolina, they came to South Carolina, Montana, Idaho, Nevada,
Vegas. Yep.
Washington, Utah. A lot of people, and they hate Californians because they say when Californians come, they jacks up the price of homes so the locals can't buy. But now that sales are slow in California, and not because the housing market is slow. I know there's a bad reports that, hey, home sales are down, but guess why they're down? There's no homes for sale because as soon as they come on the market, they sell. Inventory is low. Sellers who have 3% don't want to sell and buy at 6%. So the housing market is very active. Number of home sales have come down, but the number one reason they've come down because there's no homes for sale. So it's a catch-22.
And who can afford it?
There are a lot of people.
If your average home in California is $1.2 million or $1.1 million, I mean, that's a luxury home in many places in the United States.
Yeah. In my county, in Orange County, especially where I'm at in Anaheim Hills, I'm listing a house, and I mentioned this in the last video also. I'm listing a house around 1.1 million. It's a 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1,800 square feet, built in 1970 range. That's your typical $1 million home, 1.1. It's your bread and butter home. That's what you get. So you don't get a lot. If you're coming from, I sold a house last year to a gentleman. They moved from Denver because they got a relocation. They sold a house in Denver for 1.2, which was on 3 acres, 4,500 square feet home, newer home with a basement, right? They came here, bought a 1.6 home, built in 1965, 5 bedrooms, 3 bath. So what a change. An older home, smaller yard, 8,000 square feet yard from a 3 acres, so it was a shock for them, but they had to move here because of relocation.
Yeah, it is what it is. California is
very expensive.
Very, very expensive.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I guess there are less expensive areas in California, but still.
There are. Yeah, the medium price, California medium home price is 800,000 on average. USA is about 400,000. But in Orange County, the medium home price is about 1.2, 1.3. Where I'm at in Anaheim Hills is about 1.1.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, you go up to San Francisco and,
it's 1.8, 1.9 over there, the medium.
Yeah. For the same house that you were just talking about, that 1,800 square foot house.
Yeah. Over there, you have to pay 2.5 probably, or.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a double. Yeah. Crazy. So talking about affordability, what do you think is affordability is in other states, not where you are in other states? Let's chat about it. You may know more on the East Coast. I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah. So from a North Carolina, South Carolina perspective, if you were here 10 years ago, you could get a beautiful home for $400,000. At this point, everything is kind of doubled.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for something nice, you're looking at the $700,000 to $800,000 range for the most part. Nice, well done, but not overly fancy. Even here, I've got guys building new houses, 1.6 million. I mean, they're nice, but it's 4,200 square feet. I don't see it being worth $1.6 million, but it is.
Right. It is. Yeah.
I mean, it's changed so much here, South Carolina as well, because I deal with parts of the very, very north part of South Carolina.
Right.
It's right on the border of Charlotte.
Yeah.
And there are areas like Fort Mill, South Carolina, just booming. Just going crazy. New York. My mom had a house, multiple offers in the first day. Then she moved to an apartment, a condo, sold it for over asking. on the
Mhm.
first day. So if it's good, it's moving, and they're not. This condo was crazy. It was like a $550,000 condo.
Right.
The common charges, which again, if people are going into like a condo situation, the common charges every month were $2,200 a
Wow.
month,
Right.
plus $85 to park the car.
Park the car. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Wow.
know,
I'm
and
going
if
to
you
read something on the. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish up. Yeah.
if you're living in Manhattan, you're spending $1,000 a month to park your car.
That much? Ooh.
Yeah, 850, $900, and
Wow.
they smash your car up.
Yeah. So might as well just don't have a car and just Uber everywhere.
Yeah, that's why cabs and Ubers are
Yeah.
like in Manhattan.
Right. I made some note on the affordability crisis that we're talking about. Then I'm going to move on to the next topic. So I just
Sure.
want to read out some report that what this report said on affordability crisis, so they know. Rising home prices outpacing income has created an affordability challenge, which we know that prices have skyrocketed. 82% of recent home buyers express regret, with 44% incurring additional debt to maintain their lifestyle. The third thing they said is over 25% of mortgage holders spend more than 30% of their income on housing, indicating financial strain.
Yeah, it can be brutal,
Yeah.
and they also, I saw something about the average age of a purchaser of a home in the United States is now up to 38 years old. So you don't have people in their 20s running around buying houses anymore. You've got the average age of 38, which is
Mhm.
high,
Right. Yeah.
because you have to have the money.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no
And
matter where
nowadays
you
they have
are.
student debt. A lot of these kids coming out of college, they have student debts. And one income don't qualify, right? I mean, $100,000, you can buy a house in Orange County. So if you're
No.
single making 100 grand, you ain't gonna make it.
Mm-mm.
You need to be either two brothers, siblings, or family, or get married, or if you're married,
You,
you have to
you
buy together.
you live with mom and dad until you can afford it.
And that's a big thing. And you've heard about the multi-generational home coming back. We hear that a lot. Mom and dad, their parents are getting old, so they move with mom and dad. The kid who was working and paying 1,500 for a one bedroom, one bath lost his job, so the kid comes over. So you got a multi-generational home, and that is increasing.
It's very common here, actually,
Okay.
where you have two, sometimes three generations living in one. I
Mhm.
mean, sometimes it's a massive home,
Right.
but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
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 over here. It's
it's crazy.
increasing, but they're not massive homes because you buy 5 bedrooms, it's going to cost you more.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Here you can get away with. I mean, it's not cheap,
Right.
but like you can buy a home for a million and a half. Not
Right.
fancy, but
Right.
you can put three generations in there.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, the next thing we want to talk about, and we mentioned equity earlier. I'm not sure if we did or not, but three things we want to touch on next, Eli. One is that people are house rich and cash poor today, so we'll talk about that. The second thing is the increase. Excuse me. The second thing is increased maintenance and repair cost. Okay, and the third thing we want to talk about is the utility and energy cost increases. So the catch 22 is the people who bought homes 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, like myself, I've been here for a long time. We are very equity rich, but all the money is stuck in the house. So until I sell it, I don't have the money. So if I have a roof leak or if I want to do remodeling, an average guy doesn't have money. It's stuck in the house. So today, a lot of the homeowners are house rich and cash poor. So let's talk about when it comes to maintenance. Let's say your fence breaks or your roof leaks or faucet breaks, or how are they handling that? Because our cost has gone up, right? The maintenance cost and labor cost.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, we'll see what happens with this new president coming in,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
For energy costs, we'll see if he brings energy costs down. He wants to, drill and help us with that. He also wants to get rid of a lot of immigrants, and that's going to cause a labor shortage, and wages are going to go high, and so everything you get fixed is going to cost more. And let me tell you, just from my house in the last, I got a washing machine that I just had to buy a new washing machine. I have a tankless water heater that went bad.
Ooh.
So that's you know, estimates, and you guys got to get estimates out there, because my estimates are running anywhere from 3 grand to $7,500. There's all kinds of different tankless water heaters. Things break, things go, and you got to be prepared for that stuff, because it happens all the time. There's maintenance. You've got to do painting. If you have a deck, you've got to take care of it. Otherwise, you're going to have to replace the deck, if it's wood.
Yeah.
You're talking about roofing. So many things can just go wrong at any given time in a house, and usually happens all at once. Even
Right.
like a simple thing like an ice machine can go out
Yeah.
if you don't have an extended warranty or something like that. It costs money.
Your stuff could go out. Now you got to fix it because you got to eat, right? And the stuffs cost more if it's electric or gas or whatever. If you buy a new one, it's a lot more expensive than what you have.
Yeah, it's a fortune. It's
Yeah.
an absolute fortune. You can spend $10,000 a month just in
Right.
in repairs. If
Yeah.
it hits you all at the right time.
Right. Well, let's see what this article is saying is increased maintenance and repair cost. So what they're saying is the cost of materials and labor, and you mentioned that, Eli, the cost of materials and labor for home maintenance and repairs has surged due to supply chain issues and inflation. Routine repairs or upgrades now place a much heavier burden on household budgets. So yeah, we got this burden. If I'm a new buyer or a recent buyer, I go, oh my God, I could barely afford this $3,000 a month payment. But now I have this maintenance, and that's killing us because, like you said, labor costs more, the 2x4 costs more, the nail costs more. You go to Carl's Jr. for combo is what, $15? Used to be $7 4 or 5 years ago. It's double. So it's ridiculous prices. And what's the percentage of that we have to figure a seller or a buyer? Do you have any idea? Is it 2%, 3% of the purchase price usually, or on average?
For what?
For maintenance cost and repairs?
Oh, I don't know.
I heard reports that you have to figure when you buy, think about 3 to 5% of your purchase price as your maintenance cost. Especially as like on a $400,000 home, I figure it's going to cost me $1,000 a month on average. Sometimes 1 year it may not cost you, but less there after you move in. Like when I bought my house 25 years ago, the first 2 months that I moved in July, September, there was heavy rain. One of those heavy rains that don't fall. And I had to spend $5,000 fixing it. Didn't have the money because I put everything on down payment. I had to borrow money to fix the roof. Had to be in right away.
Yep.
Next year, same problem. Heavy rains, roof leak again. Another $5,000. Last month, during May, last rainy season, I just spent $5,000 on my deck. My roof was leaking. On the roof, I must have spent about $25,000 over my last 20 years. And that's just a roof. And it's not in a brand new roof. So on average, they're saying figure 3% to 5%. So on a figure $1,000 a month on expenses on average or more.
Yeah, it's a burden. You talked about the prices of stuff, again, with the new administration coming in, you've got, someone who's threatening tariffs on lumber, stuff from China, Canada, the lumber.
Oh yeah.
You're it potentially can cause a worsening of the housing market and an increase in prices. So we'll see what happens. And that's why, you talked about the maintenance. A lot of people are kind of trying to get themselves in California. I don't know how much new construction there is, but a lot of the people call me, they say they want a new house. Because with a new house, for the first 10 years, the maintenance is going to be, minimal. You're going to be covered under major warranties for, the big stuff. The little stuff usually doesn't happen right away. So for 10 years, you're pretty good as far as having to spend money on maintenance.
Right.
But after that, it's, hands off. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. But remember, word of caution, with the new house, it's great, no maintenance, but depending on where your area is, I'm in California, and when there's new homes, there's higher taxes because there's mellow roofs and what we call assessment bonds. And again, it depends on the community. You're going to have HOA fees. So yeah, you're not spending any maintenance, right? But on a new home, you have $200, $300, $400 a month HOA fees.
Yeah.
That's just like maintenance. So either way, you.
Yes.
The other thing in California, yeah, go ahead.
The newer neighborhoods, they're all going to be neighborhoods that have HOAs.
Yeah, so now
So
that's
you're
an
not,
extra
that's an
expense.
added tax. That's an extra
Right.
300, 400, depending on where you go. I mean, there's some neighborhoods that I sell in where you have to join the golf club. And
Huh.
so you're every month it's a $2,000 nut on
Whoa.
top of everything, on top of $100,000 joining fee. I mean, fees can get crazy in some parts over
Right.
here, and I'm sure everywhere.
Yeah.
But
here's a new thing with new homes. You mentioned new homes, and I'll mention California. In California, I believe in 2022, they passed a regulation that any new construction home that is built, you must have a solar on there. You cannot say no. So, for example, I just showed the house, like I said, in Fontana for 1.2. So you buy the house for 1.2, and then you have to buy solar. You cannot not buy. So the seller, it's
so
a
it's not
California law.
included. They
Yeah,
don't.
and that can range from $20,000 to $40,000, depending on the size of the roof and size of your home. Not the, that's on top. So if you buy a house for 1.2 and your mortgage $4,000 a month, now you have HOA fees, higher property tax. But guess what? You got another $300, $400 a month paying solar, because most people, I'd say 90%, finance the solar. So that's another expense.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody lives in California.
Well,
It's
great
nice.
weather.
It's nice.
75 degrees today.
Listen, if you can afford it, God bless anybody who can afford to live there. But yeah, I mean, there are some very pricey areas, and that's why there's a lot of people who are, who
Yeah.
look elsewhere. They want to move. Like, I know that a lot of realtors around the country.
Mhm.
People who are in California, they're asking you all the time, like, "Hey, do you know somebody out in Colorado who you can send me to?"
Yeah.
And you say, "Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand."
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, because I'm in California, I got to response or rebut what you said. Why
Yeah.
people move to California? And this is a friendly rebuttal or whatever, right? I tell you, I'll give you two examples.
Yep.
I sold a house in 2021, in December 2021, to a very good friend, my friend's daughter. They bought the house for 1.2, young couple, 30, 32 years old. They made good money, sold them a 1.2 house at 2.5. Okay. 4 years, right? You know what the house is worth today? 1.8.
1.8. Yeah.
In 4 years, they make, if they sell, 600,000 in equity. That's
Yeah.
what's good about California.
Well, California is not going out of business.
So the property, your value of your home,
everybody wants to be in California.
everybody, but it's expensive.
Everybody wants to be in California.
Right.
You just have to be able to afford it.
Yeah. Hey, for you, everybody watching, we appreciate you watching. And if you're watching this after the recording, tell us what's happening in your area, if the price is going up or down as far as your, not prices of homes, but your cost. And also, because I'm in California, why would you move to California, or why would you not move to California? We'd like to hear it. So make some comments if you're watching this on a tape, or right now. So,
I would move to California because I'm an East Coast guy.
Yeah.
Like
You wouldn't.
I can't ever see myself leaving the East Coast.
Right. Okay.
For whatever reason, it's psychological. I think I probably would move to California and love it.
Right.
But there's certain places like here on the East, like Florida. Like I would never move to Florida. I mean, I've been to Florida a lot. I spent a lot of time in Florida.
Right.
I'm not moving.
I know that you go for your walks every morning, which is very healthy for you. But I can see you in California every Saturday, Sunday walking on the beach. Oh my God. Summertime, it's 70 degrees outside, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. You'd love it here on going to the beach.
Oh, I'm sure I'd love it, and for many reasons.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's different reasons than
the
weather.
Right. Okay, let's go to the next one. And I want to talk about the percentage later on after this. It talks about, I mentioned the utility and energy cost increases. Utility bills, including electricity, heating, and water, have increased in many regions, adding to the regular expenses homeowners must cover each month, particularly impacting those in areas with extreme weather conditions. Right? So everything's going up. In California, we have the AC on summer, maybe August, September, it's very hot. Heater goes on maybe January, December, January. But let's talk about Texas, for example. Summertime, the AC is on all the time because I've been there many times. I have good friends who live there. AC is on all the time. I have a friend who lives in Boston, an Asian friend. He said in winter AC is on 24 hours. So let's talk about those costs because it's jumping.
Yeah, sure. I
How's
mean,
the cost on your side in the East Coast when you talk about heating and cooling?
yeah. So obviously, weather has changed. So like as a New Yorker, I see that because I always check the weather in New York,
Hmm.
and the weather's very similar in New York as it is here in Charlotte.
Right.
Here it's hot in the summertime, so we've got air conditioning, right? And then you've got a little period of time where you don't need anything, and then
Right.
right now we're cranking the heat. So,
Okay.
we've always got stuff going for the most part. During the week, I mean, during the fall, we get away with a lot less in the
Okay.
spring. But yeah, wintertime it gets cold over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hey, we
North.
just got a comment from Nicholas. He's watching. So he's saying that California has income taxes and it's the one of the highest taxes. It's 13.2%. No thanks. I prefer Washington, but more than it's cold up here. So Nicholas, if you're still there, what's your taxes in Washington? And yes, you are right. Income taxes are high. So make a comment or and then we'll talk about it more. So so
Nicholas, are you're Washington State or you're Washington D.C.?
yeah, it could be Washington State, right? Or
Yeah,
Washington
probably
DC.
Washington State because based
As you
on where
mentioned,
you
it's
are.
cold over
Yeah.
there, so I don't
Yep.
know which is colder. Oh,
Yeah,
state.
Washington is beautiful,
Hmm.
but you
Okay.
got to
No
deal with
income
the cold.
taxes in Washington. No income tax. I didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
How are
So just
property
federal tax.
taxes?
Hmm.
How are property taxes, Nicholas?
How's your taxes in your area, North and South Carolina areas?
Yeah, so 1.2% is not bad. It's not cheap, but it's not bad. But no
Is that
state
property tax
taxes
we're
are
talking
good.
about? 1.2? Is that property tax?
Yeah, I think he's talking about
Okay,
1.2 on
property
his
tax.
property taxes. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's not bad with no state income tax. Like we were talking before, Texas is 3% and no state income tax. So they're really getting you.
So what's the catch? Where is the state getting you? They got to make money somewhere. So where they're jipping you in, like in Texas, they jip you on property tax. So trying to be funny here, but what are you paying high over there when it comes to, because the state got to recover money somewhere.
I don't know, maybe is marijuana legal in Washington State?
Hmm.
I wonder some of those states that have legalized marijuana, I wonder what their coffers, how much it brings in and how
Hmm.
that potentially affects state income taxes and property taxes.
Excuse me. We'll tell you when I knew here. Okay. Okay.
Where are you from? Where are you coming from, Nicholas?
Oh, he's new there. So,
Yeah, he's new in
right.
Washington, sounds like. He's probably coming from your neck of the woods.
Probably. Yeah. While he's doing that, I wanted to talk about
Oh,
something.
he's from Spain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I'm planning to go there next year. Maybe he can give me some tips or something. Yeah. So, yeah. Great. Okay. Yeah. So one of the things we're going to talk about, Eli, and we'll answer Nicholas's more questions here, is I'll give an example of what's happening to the affordability and the amount of check that goes to housing. LA County, which is 20, 30 minutes from here, it's almost 40 to 45% of the check goes towards housing. So if you're owning a house, it includes your PITI, your utilities, your water, your gas. If you're renting, that includes your rent, your utilities, your water, your gas, electricity. Some places like LA City is going up to 45%. The ratio, what we call debt ratio for housing, is that high. How can people survive when you have kids, when you have parents in the home? There's no way you can survive, and that's the difficulty here. So I don't know how it is nationwide. I believe on average it's becoming 38%. I heard a number, it's about 35 to 38% on average, because LA County is very high and some states may be low. But when we read that CNN report, it says it's about 25%. But that did
Makes
not include maintenance and repairs and all that.
makes it very hard to save money.
How
That's
can
for
you
sure.
survive? I mean, you got to
You
eat
know,
bread and butter every day,
if if you're not a realtor, right, and you have a regular job, hopefully you get yourself a retirement, plan.
Hmm.
But if you're self-employed, it's very, very difficult to
Right.
save any money. If you're a business owner, you
Yep.
had COVID hit, lots of stuff
Right.
can
Right.
happen in life.
Yeah. So let's talk about something looking ahead. I know you mentioned tariffs, you mentioned mass deportation. Um, Regardless of that, because it will have significant impact, we don't know which way it's going to go.
No, we don't.
But yeah, so let's talk about, if you're a seller or if you're a home buyer, it's good for you to know costs are only going to go up. But let's talk about what are the housing market predictions. Because if I'm a seller and thinking, you know what, I'm here, but I want to buy a house, I need a bedroom downstairs, I need a single story, blah, blah, blah. Should I still wait? What's happening to the interest rate in the market? So seller's thinking that way. But then there's a first time buyer, he's waiting or she's waiting for the rates to go down, the prices to stabilize. According to the report you've read, and I know you do a lot of research, um, because you do a lot of videos, where are the housing prices and rates headed based on the current status, whether it's inventory or demand or whatever.
So the common knowledge is that we're short houses in the United States.
Mhm.
And the numbers run anywhere from 1 million to 7 million. I guess the average would be about 4 million. We're short. So we don't have enough houses. So the prices aren't going anywhere. I don't see them coming crashing down.
Mhm.
If anything, I see them creeping up. Now, interest rates, now the Fed Reserve, they lowered interest rates by 0.5 percentage point in September, and then they lowered it by another 0.25%. And for a minute there, mortgage rates actually dipped down to around, lower six, like 6.2%.
Right.
But they've popped back up to 7.
Mhm.
With tariffs, with mass immigration, taking care of the migrants who are here illegally, Trump is going to try and get the Fed to reduce their interest rates, but that doesn't necessarily translate into mortgage rates going down.
Exactly. Right.
So we don't know where any of this is going to land. I mean, no one knows for sure. I don't see things coming crashing down. There've been guys who've been talking about crashes for the last 5 years.
Those are YouTubers wanted views, so forget those guys. We know who those are.
The crash, they got Crash Brothers, where the world is ending. If you had listened to them, if you had purchased the house when they told you that the world is crashing, you would have doubled your money by now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very hard to predict where things are going to land. You still got interest rates that are high. You've got the
Right.
Federal Reserve, which said that they're going to lower the Federal Reserve rate. Again, that doesn't mean that the mortgage rate's going to come down. And if
Right.
interest starts popping up again, meaning
Mhm.
our inflation, starts popping up because of tariffs, because of things that the administration may do, the Fed may slow down their rate of cutting.
Mm-hmm.
So that won't be good for mortgage rates,
Right.
But on the positive side, the administration is also going to get rid of a lot of regulation costs
Right.
when building a
Right.
new house, which
Yeah.
makes up about 25% of the cost of a home. So cutting
Right.
that, opening up federal land. I don't know how much federal land there is in California where people want to live, but
Mhm.
that would help alleviate the issue. Builders can come in there and build. So very hard to say what's going to happen. I think the best advice is that if you need to buy a house and you want to buy a house and can afford to buy a house, you go ahead and buy a house. If it's going to put you in a position where you're going to be stressed. Your entire existence is based on paying for the house. It's not the time to buy. You know,
Mhm.
your rates will never come back down to 3%. I don't think they're ever going to come down. You know, they may come down to 5. Below 6, I think the market starts popping up again.
Or below 6, and the prices are going to go up for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're going to get a lot of people jumping back into the market.
Mhm. Okay. Well, one of the things I want to talk about too is, and this comes up all the time. I see it online. I see it on social media. Is the systemic challenges, and there's 4 of them. We'll talk briefly about them. Is the corporate control of housing, private equity firms monopolizing housing markets, create a lack of competition and artificially inflated cost. What do you think on that?
Well, you've got big companies, Wall Street companies like BlackRock, who have come in and they purchase all these homes, they use them for rentals, and then they try and flip out of them.
Right.
You know,
Increase the rent and then increase the price, and they sell it,
and
make
then they
money.
sell it.
Right.
So that doesn't help us in getting more of a supply.
Mhm.
That's for sure. So
Right.
that's part of it. You've got foreign buyers too, who come in and buy some of the housing. You know, the houses in your neck of the woods.
Lots of them.
I'm
Oh,
sure you've getting people from overseas all the time,
yeah.
who are coming in and can afford it
Yeah.
in your neck.
I just sold a house half a mile from where I live, right here. Half a mile. It's in the city of Orange. It was listed for 1.7. I got an all cash offer from a Chinese buyer. Um, for 1.675. I can say it because it's closed. I can mention the price now. 15-day we closed it. Chinese buyers. He's not even here.
Yeah,
Comes here, and the agent, we were talking because when we do inspection we got to chat,
mhm.
and she's, oh, he's buying 4 properties. She had 4 escrows going, all cash, all 4 properties.
Yeah, so that doesn't help the affordability, especially in high
Doesn't help
price
the locals,
areas.
right? Yeah.
You know, high price areas like yours. You know, they had an issue up in Canada also, like Vancouver.
Hmm.
You had a lot of foreign investors. You know, a lot of Asian.
Yeah. Indians, Asians,
Yeah,
Hawaiians, Chinese, all kinds of
buying up
foreigners.
buying up everything.
Yep.
You know,
There's
and
lots of money coming in from outside, lots and lots, especially Orange County. People ask me all the time, how can people buy $1 million home? Well, for first, you get a piece of, what I call it. It's not a great house. I don't want to say what I want to say. It's your bread and butter home. But there's a lot of money coming in, foreign money. There's a lot of people who've been here 20, 30 years. They're selling their home and using the equity to buy the bigger homes. There's a lot of inheritance money coming in. We're talking grandma, grandpa giving it to their kids and grandkids. They're buying it. I sold 3 homes in the last 2 years where the dad paid 200 to 300 down for each kid, down payment. Done. So there's a lot of inheritance money coming in.
good for
There's
rich or poor. It's good to have money, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing where people coming in, especially you mentioned that a lot of the average age of a lot of buyers is 38.
Yep.
There's a lot of millennials buying the homes in Orange County area. Orange County is another, it's not Silicon Valley, but it's a great tech hub. Irvine, a
Hmm.
lot of these kids that are buying, 30, 35-year-olds, one, they're professionals, doctors, lawyers, dentists. So they got money, especially if they married, dentist married to an optician or a doctor, right? So they got money. But a lot of these people who work for Apple and Google and Meta, they got lots of shares in stocks, and they sell some of them and they pay cash. So there's money coming from everywhere. And this is just not Orange County, it's nationwide. Yes, prices are high. Yes, market is tough. Yes, interest rates are high, but there's money out there.
Yeah,
Yes, there's a lot of
100%.
people are not making money, but there's a lot of people who are making money and generating money for whatever reason.
Yeah, so here in North Carolina, not so much in Charlotte. Well, we have some high tech here. We're mostly banking, but
Mm,
Raleigh, North Carolina, is kind of like the Silicon Valley of the South.
uh-huh.
So you've got your Meta, you've got your Apple, you've got a lot of drug companies, the guys who
Right.
make Ozempic,
Uh-huh.
just pumped in $5 billion into Raleigh,
Right.
and you've got three big universities. You've got
Right.
NC State, you've got UNC Chapel Hill, and Duke. So you've got all those kids who are coming out getting these high paying jobs,
Right.
and the prices in Raleigh are actually more expensive than they are here in Charlotte because
Mm.
these guys got money.
Yep.
You know,
Okay.
it's not as big a city, but
Yeah,
yeah,
there's money.
you know,
Yeah.
those guys who are getting those jobs, yeah, they're doing good.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, let's move to the next one. It's called frustration with policies and solutions. So several things are happening on the state level, city level. One is that when new builders want to buy or do regulations, lack of effective legislation to address housing affordability or regulate corporate investors frustrates both the host and the audience. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, so like I said, Trump is trying to cut down on all those permits
Mhm.
and regulation costs,
Right, right.
which
Deregulation, right.
which like I said is a large percentage of the cost of the homes. But yes, I mean they've got to keep an eye on what they're doing to make these
Mhm.
things affordable for the average person. I mean, the
Right.
average person's not coming out of Duke getting a job at Apple,
Uh-huh.
making watches.
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah.
you've got teachers and you've got firefighters and you've got police officers and you know plumbers and tradespeople. You know, not everybody is a doctor or a
No.
lawyer or so yeah, I mean these things have to be addressed,
Yep.
and
Yep.
the economy also. You know, you've got people who have an issue with food. You know, can't even afford groceries.
Yeah, yeah. A
So
lot of people have been laid off. Even the big tech companies we talked about, they have laid off. Walmart has laid off. Google has laid off. Apple has laid. A lot of big companies are laying off too, big time.
yeah, they have to answer to stockholders. You know,
Yeah,
they have to show
yeah.
profit
And
at
a
the end
guy
of
who
the
just bought a house 2, 3 years ago, if one of them loses a job, that's a lot of strain on top of the strain that they already had.
yeah.
So yeah. The other thing we'll talk about is the uncertainty about future cost. Okay, and you already mentioned this, but speculations about tariffs and economic changes adds anxiety over rising construction and housing expenses. I think this is very critical because you mentioned earlier that if there's a mass deportation, we're talking 10, 15, $25 million. If that happens, I can guarantee you, especially Orange County, California, whatever, you're going to have a labor shortage because all the people, a
There
lot of
already is
people,
a labor shortage.
huh?
There already is a
Yeah.
labor
I
shortage.
mean, these
There's
guys go, they do a lot of labor work. Who does all the gardening? Who does all the construction work? Who does whatever,
the guys
legal
who
or
are doing
illegal?
your tiles, the guys who are doing your roofing, the guys who are doing your framing, the guys who are pouring your concrete. Um, these are the bread and butter. And during COVID, at least here in Charlotte, you know, you had such a lack of labor that the building of the houses took a very long time. I mean, I just closed on a house that was started 2 years ago,
Wow.
and not a custom house. A house, but not a
Yeah.
custom house,
New construction house.
a new construction house, and it's because they couldn't get. They were a new builder in this area. They didn't have the connections with the um the subcontractors, and the
Hmm.
subcontractors, they were going and raising their prices. And during COVID, that's what they did. They didn't have enough people,
Right.
and the electricians named their prices, and the plumbing guys named their price.
Yep.
And if you didn't pay it, you weren't getting your house built.
No,
So, you know, the immigration thing is I'm a little scared of that because
it's scary. And then you
these
had
guys,
tariff on top of that, tariffs.
yeah,
What's that going to do? If you increase lumber prices from Canada, if you increase all these 2x4s or nails or gadgets coming from China, it's going to increase the cost of labor. I mean, the cost of construction, which is only going to do one thing, is going to increase the cost of your house. They have to. The
yeah,
builder has to charge you more. If the 2x4 he's buying is up 25%, he's going to put it on the buyer
yeah.
immediately.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah.
No, no, I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell everybody out there in the internet land what's going to happen in California or in New York or in Idaho. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know.
Idaho is expensive, right?
Yeah.
Parts of Idaho, you got to have $6 million to buy a house in some of those towns
Wow.
nowadays.
Jeez.
You
Yeah.
know, you could have bought it for $1 million, is now 6. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough, you know.
It's tough, and we don't try to be negative about it, but we're just saying that buying a house today has changed. And I know when I first came here as a student in USA, and I heard that it's the American dream is to buy a house. I still believe it is, but that dream is becoming so tough. It's not as easy as it used to be in the 80s and 90s. You want to buy a house? Okay, go buy it. You know, the homes that are selling for $1 million today, when I started real estate 25 years ago, they used to sell for 250. The same house today is selling for $1 million. And I can guarantee you that the guy who was making 4,000 a month is not making 20,000 a month right now.
Correct.
Salary has not kept up with it.
No. Something's going to give.
Something's going to give, and
You
it's
know,
got to be home
it
prices.
has to. I
Yeah,
mean,
it has to be home prices. They have to come down for more people to afford it, and the rates have to come down for more people to afford it. But on the other hand, the more and more, or the percentage of buyers who can afford homes is getting smaller and smaller. And we talked about that affordability.
yeah.
California is less than 15%. That's a low number.
So who the heck is living in those houses?
They've been here a lot of generational homes, and there's,
Yeah.
like I said, we just talked about where the money's coming from. They're buying.
Overseas.
Homes are selling. Inventory is low.
Yep.
Homes are selling within 30 to 45 days. That's a very strong market.
How was it during 2 years ago?
Same thing. Homes are selling. People are buying.
Sure. Yeah.
If a home sells within 30 days in California at these prices and these interest rates, that's a healthy market.
Yeah, no, I agree. But when the market was at 3%, how was the
It
market?
couldn't touch it. There was a line of homes.
A line
There's
of
an
people.
open house. You would have 100 groups of people. There'll be 20, 30 offers.
Yep.
People drove by and bought it. I've sold homes where they've seen it virtually, not even come in the house. They bought it virtually.
I've sold homes by telephone.
Yeah.
You know, from
They
across
see
the
it
country.
online. They do Google Maps. They do the video, and they bought it. And they come down for inspection, and it's okay. That's fine. We'll take it, because guess what? If you don't buy that house, the next house, if you're lucky enough to get it, you're going to pay 20, 30,000 more. So they bought that house because you knew that the next one is going to be 10,000 more, 20,000 more, at least in California.
Yeah, it was brutal.
That's what happened.
It was brutal.
It was brutal. And I had to write literally, if I'm working with a buyer, I tell them, look, when we write an offer, don't get mad at me if you don't get it. It's not my negotiating skills. It's not I'm bad. There's going to be 20 offers. We may have to write 4 or 5 offers, which we did. And finally, one kicked or one caught in, and some buyers left us because after 7 offers, you couldn't buy it. So we lost buyers, but not our fault, because if there's 20 offers and you putting 20% down and there's 3 all cash offers, 15-day close, no appraisal, no inspection, what are you going to do?
You had to be really, really aggressive, crazy aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And
obviously
those guys are not gone yet. They're still around. I mean, not that much, but there's still competition out there. Homes are selling.
Yeah. No, they are 100% selling.
They're selling.
You know, it's just got to be the right price. If people are looking to get rich overnight, you know, they bought a house last year, and they're looking to make a killing, ain't gonna happen.
Right.
No one's going for it.
Right. So I want to close with 2 things, and maybe you can give your input as well. If you're a seller, thanks for watching. And if you're thinking about buying a house, talk to a lender, whether you're moving from California to California or going to other state, find out what the costs are, which is your taxes and your insurance and your maintenance, so you're prepared. And if you have to bite the bullet, sell and buy, go ahead and do that. If you're a buyer, and if you already talked to a lender and he says, okay, you can buy a $400,000 house, your payment's going to be $2,000, I would call them back again or talk to your realtor and say, hey, if I buy this house and if my mortgage is $2,000 a month, which is property tax, insurance, principal, and interest, how much will be my HOA fees, my maintenance, my utilities? Know all that, because the last thing we want you to do is buy something and then you're pulling your hair because you're paying 50% of your check towards housing or 40% of your check, which is ridiculous. So do some more homework.
That's not what we want to happen. Mike and I rather not sell you a house and not put you in that position where we're not, pushing anybody into a house. You have to be ready and willing and know what you're getting yourself into. There are people out there that that will try and push you into a house, right? Um, Unfortunately,
So what
but
I'm going to say as a conclusion, what I was trying to say, and I'm saying this because I read this report and one of the expert, I don't remember his name, he said that if you talk to your lender, whether you're a seller moving up or down, or whether you're a first-time buyer, if your lender tells you that you qualified for a $400,000 loan, or let's say you're putting 20% down, so you're buying, let's say, a $500,000 house, right? Don't buy a $500,000 house. Buy a $450,000 house. Save the others for the other amenities, other cost. Buy smaller, buy lower than what you qualified for, because the lenders are going to push your limits. They want you to get the loan. They want to push you because the more loan they get, the more money they make. The realtor is going to push you because the more expensive the house is, the more money they make. And I'm not putting realtors down. That's just the way they think. But the real way to buy is if your lender or realtors, especially lenders, approving you for $500,000 house, buy lower than your means.
yeah, and
If you're in
don't
that position where you're tight, if you
right.
got a lot of money and then it's
Yeah,
different. But
if
in
it's
general,
if it's a non-issue, it's a non-issue. But
right?
if it's an issue, I
Yeah.
would even go as far as telling your realtor not to take you into any homes that are above that price point,
Yep.
because what's going to happen is as you go up on the price point, obviously the house you're going to see is you're going to like better,
Mhm.
and it's going to kind of entice you.
Right.
So
Right.
you just want to be careful.
Yeah. Just be careful. Get frugal more. Most people get frugal after they buy the house because they are forced to. But get frugal before you buy the house.
Yeah,
That's
get
my
frugal
core
before you
advice.
meet Mike. Before
Before
you
you
meet
meet Mike.
Mike, become very frugal.
Yeah. Exactly. I learned that the hard way. When I bought my house, I could barely afford it, and then remember I had the roof leak 2 years in a row. Killed me.
Well, you
Didn't have
should
that
have
kind
been
of money.
standing. You should have been on the roof with an umbrella, dude.
Man, the one thing I don't want to hold in my hand is a hammer. I'm a phone guy. No
No,
hammer.
I understand, but you should have had an umbrella. Get one of
I
those
know.
golf umbrellas
Yeah.
that I'm sure that you carry around now.
Yeah.
Um,
I know.
and you should have just waited till the rain dissipated and saved the
Yeah.
money until you save up
Yep.
the money.
I know. Yeah. Hey, it's been great. I hope you that are watching got some information out of it. If you have questions, even though you're watching this recording after the live, which we're going to end in a minute, make some comments, ask questions. We'll be glad to answer. I'm going to put Eli's information in the description. So if you're towards the East Coast, if you need help or just want to talk about something, have any questions, he'll be glad to talk to you, or he'll even refer you to an agent in the East Coast. If you need to talk to me, even if it's just a question, we're here to answer questions and refer you to resources. So hit us up, make some comments, ask us questions. We're here to help. With that, Eli, any last
Yeah,
comment?
no, man, I'm tired.
I know. Yeah.
An hour is a long time to talk.
Long time. I know.
I,
And it's not a very exciting topic, but we want that information out there. So
next time when you have me on, can we talk about, like, I don't know, the beaches?
we talked about beaches. I told you you can
Well,
go walk. I
no,
see
but
you walking
no,
Saturday and
I mean,
Sunday.
you have to show pictures, like video of, the beaches.
I'm not too tech savvy on this
The
program.
guys on Muscle Beach,
Right.
you still got the
Right.
Muscle Beach in Venice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys walking
Yeah.
around, pumping iron,
Oh yeah.
girls
You
on
should come
roller
out here.
skates.
You come down here. I'll take you to a restaurant. I'll take you to the beaches. I'll take you. I'll take care of you. So come
All
down.
right, sounds good. I
We've
don't know
got
if
it
they'll
on
let me
record.
in.
It's recorded. So
I don't know if they're gonna let me into Los Angeles, but
yeah.
we'll see.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks, Eli. I really appreciate it.
You got it,
And I'll
Mike.
call you back again,
Thanks,
Eli, if you don't
everybody.
mind.
Yep.
Yep. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.